So that it gives us the indication that it's a technology that's here to stay. Okay. Also, if we check the Google search, and if I do a chatbot search in my Google, this applies at least for Uruguay. This is a screenshot from my search. I get the first three results that I get are ads. Okay. People that want to sell me chatbots or how to generate a chatbot. And anyone who is in digital marketing knows that if you do a Google search and you get 3 ads as the first result or more, this is something that is very trendy at the moment. And this is also shown by the Google Trends, which, as you see in this graph, the search for keywords like chatbot had a surge in the past years. Okay. So what types of chatbots are there? We have distinguished 2 types, one known as scripted chatbot, which is based on commands. Okay, it's a sort of menu with options. And another one, which is called the natural language processing chatbot, or NLP. Okay, this one has the interaction with a machine based on a trained artificial intelligence engine. Okay, so let's move to the scripted chatbot, and you'll see an example here. And this was, as you might remember, the antecessors of this, the ancestors, would be when we called an airline on our phones and we followed a menu with options, sometimes based on numbers from the keypad and sometimes based on voice recognition, whereby we could, for example, confirm an airline ticket. The voice option never worked really well, according to my experience. And again, this is a very controlled environment where you have a number of options, normally based on numbers, and the interaction is done with pre-formatted answers. Okay. Now we have, on the other hand, the NLP chatbot, natural language processing chatbot, where on the other side there is a machine that is trying to understand what a person using human language is trying to get information on or request information upon. And as you know, human language is much more complicated and less neater than programming language. So the machines that are on the other side have to understand the intention of the phrases and conversation posed to them. Okay, so there we have machines that are trained to understand what a person is trying to ask for in different ways. And here in NLP, you need the intervenience of a vendor who provides the artificial intelligence services. For example, could be Google Dialogflow or IBM Watson. Okay. Now, what is out there for our community, for our Genexus developers or people who are jumping into the Genexus world? So what we see, and we have been experiencing in this last year, and what we have made emphasis on at Genexus, is the multi-experience world. This is something that one of our founders, Breogán Gonda, talked about some conferences ago and made a special highlight on. Today, our apps are in a multi-experience world. Okay, so the app in itself is only one. The knowledge that you capture with Genexus in your apps is only one, but it has different dimensions. Okay, so we're very comfortable and used to the mobile side or mobile phase, for example, the web dimension also. Now there are some new trends like the PWA, the progressive web applications dimension, and also with the APIs, which is a no interface side or dimension. And actually, chatbots is only another dimension of this multi-experience world your apps are moving on to. Okay, so that is where we see at Genexus that chatbots are placed. Is the knowledge and the application is still the same. It's only another way of portraying it to the world. And so what I propose to do now is to pass the baton on to my colleague Rodrigo Mendez, who will show you in a more technical way how we deal with chatbots in Genexus. And I think it's going to be the most interesting part of the presentation. So Rodrigo, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Jaime. Good day to everyone. What I would like to talk about now is to give further technical details on how these two types of chatbot works, both the scripted and the natural language processing chatbot. Okay. First off, we'll start by talking about the scripted chatbot, which is the less complex one. Okay. As Jaime said, this chatbot resembles the automatic operator we had on the phone, in which we gave commands through the numpad. Okay, so this is typically a command-based chatbot. Okay, and therefore has a static user input. Okay, in this case, the input must match with the options in order to execute the trigger messages. Okay, that will start the conversational flows. In order to put this into a simple example, we have, for example, the user or the customer of a shopping mall, okay, that has a chatbot in the application of the mobile phone, okay, and in that chatbot, the customer may, for example, ask for places to eat by the input of the number 1, okay, in the application, and then the trigger message will be triggered, and the conversational flow for directions for food courts will begin in the scripted chatbot, and the scripted chatbot will finally return the information required by the user. Okay, this is a very simple scenario, okay, of the usage of a scripted chatbot. Okay, and what can we say the advantages are in this scripted chatbot? Well, first, as the conversational flows are triggered by static inputs, it's very easy, okay, to develop, and therefore we have speed at the development process of a scripted chatbot. We can have a scripted chatbot up and running in a few hours, okay? Also, it has the benefits that the scripted chatbot made using Genexus chatbot generator is independent from other service providers, such as the ones that we will see that you require for a NLP chatbot, okay? So let's talk about those type of chatbot. NLP chatbots are more complex chatbots, okay, that offer, okay, a more humane, if you will, interaction, okay, between the user and the application itself, okay? How do we humanize this interaction? We allow the interaction to be more human because we will have the opportunity to vary on the different inputs that the user provides. What does this mean? That the user will input different words, okay, and all of these words will eventually be identified as the same intent, okay? What is the concept of intent is what the user actually wants from our application, okay? In the example of the customer in the shopping mall, okay, perhaps in this chatbot, as it provides more options regarding the inputs, the customer may enter inputs such as I'm hungry, I would like some coffee, where can I get a hamburger? And all of those inputs will be sent, okay, to the natural language processing service, okay, supported by Genexus. In this case, it can be Dialogflow from Google or IBM from Watson, okay? And all of these messages will be compared, okay? What are the benefits of NLP chatbots? NLP chatbots will give you the possibility, okay, to make your chatbot more human, okay, and allow some complexity regarding the user inputs, okay? But on the other hand, you will have to acquire a service in one of those NLP providers for it to process all of the messages and to return the intent of those messages, okay? Those services may have to be paid for according to their usage, okay? These are the newest chatbots in this era of the chatbots, okay, and provide great value because they they're aided or based a lot on artificial intelligence services. Okay, so what we can do with Genexus, both for scripted chatbot as well as for NLP chatbots. From Genexus, what we'll be able to do with the chatbot generator, okay, we will be able to first create the conversational model, okay, to define the conversational flows and what will happen, okay, depending all of the path that a customer may engage in when using the chatbot, okay, that is defined in Genexus. Genexus will create, based on that definition, both the interfaces for the chatbot in a web application and the interface for a chatbot in a native mobile application, okay? In the case of the chatbot being assisted by a natural language processing provider, okay, Genexus will also create the model, okay, that needs to be sent to the natural language processor provider, okay, and it'll be sent to either the one that you chose for your knowledge base. It can be Dialogflow from Google or Watson from IBM, okay? Genexus will also send that model, and you have finally the possibility of integrate, okay, your chatbot through different messaging agents, okay, such as, for example, WhatsApp, okay? And Genexus will also deal with the integrations of all of the actors I mentioned before, okay? So we'll have our chatbot ready to go on the interface that we need, okay? And for that, I would like you to test this example if you want. What I did is we created a chatbot, okay, using Genexus chatbot generator. This is a scripted chatbot in order to provide more information, okay? Here, what you can do if you want and have WhatsApp on your phones is you can enter this number. I'm going to type it on the chat, okay? And upon activating the sandbox, okay, through a particular message, you'll be able to try out this chatbot that is made on Genexus, okay, using an scripted chatbot. And as you can see, it's linked through Twilio with WhatsApp, okay? So I'm gonna type down the number. Okay, so this is the number. And once you add this contact, okay, you need to type this into WhatsApp as the first message in order to try out the chatbot that we have running live, okay?
So if you have WhatsApp installed in your phones, you can do this right now, and we can start testing the chatbot generated with Genexus together, okay? Don't be shy. You add the number as a contact in your phones, and then you start the dialogue writing join smaller characteristic as Rodrigo typed in the chat, and then you can start asking questions to the chatbot.
What I would like to show, meanwhile you add the contact, is how we define the chatbot in Genexus. And what I'm going to do for that is I'm going to share my screen and let you guys see the IDE in Genexus, okay? So what you're seeing now is where we'll be defining, okay, the chatbot instance. This is the new object in Genexus in order to create chatbot. It's a conversational flow instance in the category of chatbots. Okay. Once we create this, we're creating a conversational instance in which we can set different properties, okay? If we go to the properties tab by the right side, we can define, for example, if we want the user interface to be generated for web and for mobile. In this case, we only are generating for web, okay? We can define, for example, different standard inputs given by this conversational agent. Okay, and we can define if this conversational instance is based on, as I said, a natural language provider. Okay, we can choose from Watson of IBM, Dialogflow from Google, and if we set this property to be none, we will be defining this a scripted chatbot. Okay, so we can also here, as I mentioned before, set what messaging channel we would like to use. Okay, for the creation of this chatbot. In this case, we have enabled WhatsApp, okay, and chose Twilio to be our partner for this integration, okay, and here we have to provide an authentication token, okay. But let's go to the main deal. Here, inside of the conversational flow instance, we will be able to define the different flows of this conversation, okay. What are the flows? The flows are the different paths the conversation may lead the user onto, okay, depending on the interaction between the user and the chatbot. In this case, I'm going to show you here for those who hadn't activated it yet. Here I have the chatbot, okay, running on my WhatsApp web. So I'm going to type 1, okay, and I'm going to get the main menu of the chatbot, okay. What happened there is that I have configured I have defined in my application that each of these options is a path, okay, that will be triggered if I input the number of the current option. For example, I'm going to, as a user, I want to know how do I make chatbots in Genexus, so we'll type 3, and the chatbot will enter that conversational flow and will return, okay, the message that I find within Genexus, okay? So let's look at what happened here from inside of the IDE, okay? So here I have the different flows. In the case of the flow, I have the name of the flow. I have also a property called conversational object. We'll get onto that later. And I have the trigger message, okay? The trigger message is the value, okay, on which I will execute this flow. Okay, so we remember that we enter the value 3 in order to get more information about how do I build chatbot using Genexus, okay? So here we will expand, okay, this flow and we will see what we can do here, okay? In this case, this flow returns a text message, okay? Might be very simple, but we can, we'll see later that we can add more complexity to the flows, okay? In this case, we said that the response being a text message, okay? And we define here the text message you just saw on WhatsApp, okay? But let's go a more complex example of a conversational flow, which is the flow that has, okay, a conversational object. What is a conversational object? In this case, conversational objects are procedures defined inside a knowledge base in Genexus that will allow you, okay, to virtually link, okay, that execution of the conversational flow with everything that you may have defined or on your knowledge base, okay? Here we will be calling a procedure, okay, that in this particular example will execute certain instructions, but from that procedure we can link, okay, every object that we have on RKB to access to the information and to the knowledge stored in our software, okay? So let's try this out from the messaging services of WhatsApp. In this case, I'm going to go back, okay, and I'm going to type 1 just to get another glance at the different options, okay. So in this case, I'm going to write this presentation. I'm going to want to write this presentation, so I'm going to type in 7. The trigger message of write this presentation is 7. Okay, so I get this message, okay? Rate this presentation between 1 and 10, 1 being not interesting at all, 10 being very interesting, okay? So I'm going to give it a 9 because Jaime did an outstanding job with the paddle reference at the beginning. So this is going to be processed, okay? In this case, an error has occurred. I'm going to try to give it a go again. All of this that you're seeing in the chatbot is the procedure, the conversational object, okay, being executed, okay? Okay, an error has occurred. Let's try another one. Get amount of votes, option 8. Okay, presentation has 1 vote. In this case, we're counting all the votes, okay, that are being, that all of the rate that this presentation has been given, okay? Also, we have, for example, an option to get the average score of the presentation, which is option 9. As we have 1 vote, we will also be directly seeing the value of that vote. Okay, the presentation score is 10. And what we are doing here is that in all of these conversational flows, okay, that we are calling, we're executing procedures defined in Genexus, okay? So, for example, to get the amount of votes, once the trigger message 8 is received, what we're doing here is we are calling this procedure, okay, amounts of votes for the webinar, which we will be taking a look here. Simply what it does, it's counting, okay, all of the votes being stored in the transaction, which has an attribute called score date, and it's simply returning that number, okay? Here we can see that we have the return parameter set, okay? So basically, we can call procedures and run instructions as complex as we want, for example, to get the user, okay, a return of the information. Let's take a look, okay, a close look now on what the chatbot generates for us on the web IDE, okay? On the web application, sorry. In this case, what the chatbot generates for us, okay, automatically, we can see in this Fiori app, we can see that we have the users, okay? This is a list of all of the users that have interacted with the application so far, okay? Here we can see phone numbers, okay? All of this is important because we can see that from Genexus, we also have the possibility of also storing all of the information and the conversations executed by all of the users, okay, in order to get more information. And we also have the messages, okay, that were sent by all of the users, okay? Here we have a listing of all of these messages. We can see the message, okay, the type, if it's a sent message from the chatbot or a received. In this case, this is a user message, so it's the message that a user sent to the chatbot, and this is the message that was sent from the chatbot to the user, okay? So the important aspect here is that we have a lot of information to handle if we want to do some analytics and if we want to gather some knowledge, okay, regarding the usage of our chatbot and the interaction, okay, of the users with our chatbot, okay? In this case here, for example, we have also as well generated the chat, okay, in our web IDE since we selected the property, okay, of the web generation to true. So in this case, I'm going to here type 10 because I want to see who are the presenters. And this application should be getting back at me with the presenters that I have stored. What are the presenters on my knowledge base? The presenters on my knowledge base are defined as an entity. Okay, I'm going to go back to the menu in which I'm storing, okay, information in the database about the presenters of this webinar. okay, and we're actually, okay, triggering a procedure that will gather the information, okay, stored in the database, and will be returning it to the user, okay. That was triggered in this case by the option, okay, 10. We can also see it from WhatsApp. And if I were to create a new object here, okay, if I were to update the amount of presenters, I will also get the update automatically when making the query from the chatbot. Okay, so here I have the one I just added listed as well. Okay, so these are some of the things that we can do with using a chatbot generator from Genexus. Okay, we can see that we created the chatbot, and we also have the possibility to link those chatbots, okay, to all of the knowledge that we have stored in our knowledge base. Okay, so this would be all for the technical presentation and for the demo of the usage and definition of chatbots. And I don't know if you had further questions. Yeah, JP, I'm going to check. I'm seeing that it gives error on the rating. I'm going to check this out while we enter our questions and answers.
Okay, so now is the time where you can drop your questions on the chat, and we show them up here, so we can give you replies. So let me start the questions. And we have one from JP. Is there a wiki article regarding this? I think actually one of the options in the WhatsApp chatbot is related to a wiki article. Let me just check.
6,
I think. Yes.
Option 6.
If you type option 6, which is where can I get more information, there you get our link to the wiki. We'll type it in the chat for your reference in a minute. Anyone else? Thank you, JP. Thanks for accompanying us today and for posting questions. We have another question. Okay. So I read it out loud, Rodrigo.
Right.
Nabil, glad to know you are accompanying us today as well. As usual, Nabil, thanks for your presence. We know very well that there are thousands of chatbots applications in mobile stores, and most of them use artificial intelligence. But the question is, what new smart things added that can be developed using Genexus and be better than what is currently used? Do you want to comment on that?
I think that, Nabil, what Genexus offers with the chatbot generation is the possibility for you to add further value, okay, between combining, okay, the value given by chatbots and the integration with how you create all of the software you create, okay, productively in Genexus. So with Genexus, you'll have the possibility to get software up and running, okay, and shorten your time to market. And now you also as well have the possibility to open new doors, okay, to other opportunities, okay, with the chatbots.
Yes, and also I would like to complement to what Rodrigo was saying, that with Genexus you get a simple way of turning quickly to the chatbot world with a custom way for Genexus, which is to hide the complexity and make software development easier for you guys. Okay, so it's involved within our philosophy of simplifying software development, and that's why we're pushing forward this chatbot generator in Genexus. And as we saw at the beginning, it's just another dimension of the knowledge you have already captured in Genexus. We have another question from JP. And JP, who is in South Africa, says that over there they have 11 official languages. It's a bit hard to do 1, 2, 3, referring to the scripted chatbot we were working with. So how would you approach a country with so many different languages? It's quite an interesting question. Culturally driven.
Indeed, it's a challenge when creating a chatbot. At the top of my mind, I would say that, or either you try to get your hands on some service that also provides the translation, okay, language translation features besides, okay, the natural language processing, okay, that you have intent, okay, available in that model, okay, for all of the 11 languages, okay. So either the message is received in English or in Afrikaans, it will all be compared with the same intent, okay. And the other option is to either understand at the beginning of the conversation in which language the user is talking, okay, and after you figure that out, you can get the user to interact with a instance of the chatbot particularly built for that language, okay. These are the two approaches that I can give you, okay, as we speak, okay. Maybe with a bit more of thinking, there are other solutions, okay, but these are the ways that I see to face the challenge of having 11 official languages.
So there are two options. The first one related to natural language processing, and the second one would be a scripted.
Yeah, option. You could do a scripted chatbot, but you have to, at the beginning, okay, you have to aid on another service in order to detect which is the language that the user is referring to. Right. Then you can give the user or send the user to a specific conversation with a conversational instance in that language.
Correct. So it would be a combination. And the second, after you've figured out the language, you could follow the scripted path, let's say.
Yes.
Great. Thank you. Any more questions from the audience today? Don't be shy. Let's see. Let's wait a couple of seconds. We have comments from our friend JP. He says, thanks. No, thank you, JP. That gets me thinking quite a lot. Sorry for all the questions. No, you don't need to apologize. But how would you prevent abuse of the bot? If I were to take the chatbot to start talking back to other users. Okay. Prevent abuse to the bot if I were to take the chatbot to start talking back to other users.
Yeah, what you mean, JP, is how you understand the difference between communicating healthily with your users and spamming them with messages. I think that the question is aimed at that direction. And the real answer is that you will have to find out, okay, it's not recommended, okay, to message all of the users from the chat itself. It can get very annoying very fast for the user. And if not, put yourself in the shoes of the user when you get mobile notifications or mobile messages of ads, it can become very annoying very fast. So I would be very careful, okay, with that. But it's up to you. At the bottom point, you'll be the one to decide when the right moment to address to your users is and what to communicate to them. Okay.
Mm-hmm. It's a very good point, the one that JP raises regarding security and privacy and spam also for users. So it's a very good point, and we are aware that it's out there in the technological audience or community right now, and discussions are going on as a consequence of that. JP is mentioning that filters probably can be used, and let's see.
In this case, JP, that will be the responsibility of the messaging agent that you choose, okay? The one that will provide the APIs, okay, in order to connect your messaging services with the application. In this case, for the chatbot generator, we're using, okay, Twilio, which will handle, okay, all WhatsApp messaging. Okay, from Twilio, we can use the API, okay, to get information and to set, for example, outbound messages to users, as you said, okay, for the chatbot to write messages to those WhatsApp numbers. And we will also as well be able to use the information and to filter the information and to have some power of decision regarding on who we send which message. Okay.
Good. How do you go with the option? Do you want to try that out? Or?
I'm still trying to see what is.
Okay. While we wait for any other questions, give it a couple of seconds. What we can do is, can you take the wiki link from there and post it in the chat? So option number 6, I think it was. Excellent. Now we're posting the wiki, the link to our wiki, where you can read more about chatbots and see what we have been working with Genexus regarding these topics so far. I guess we have no more questions from the audience. Again, we would like to thank you for being with us today. Remember that this webinar is being recorded and will be available both on our YouTube channel and on our webinar site, the brand new webinar site. Remember to drop by the webinar site every now and then to check the following upcoming webinars and register, and check the ones you may have missed so you can watch those. Rodrigo, I think that you want to have a go.
Just 1 minute.
So this is live webinars, and this is the excitement about being live with you. We are going to have a go at trying option 7, which I think was the one that was giving us a hard time. And we'll try to get that working. We'll see if it works. It was the option that relates to rating the webinar. So we want to see good numbers if this works. We want to see good rates.
I'm redeploying the application as we speak. Nonetheless, whether we get to fix it right now, okay, I will fix it later. And this number is available for you, okay, to try out anytime. It will be available, okay, until I get the trial period, okay, on Twilio done. So we should have it for a while. If you want to have it as a reference to show to others and to see what you can do with the chatbot in Genexus, okay? It has further information on the other options as well, okay? Good. So I'm gonna give it a last go, okay? Because the vote I gave myself yesterday was part of the test to ensure that the chatbot was running properly. But we all know about Murphy's Law, right?
Correct. But this is real live webinar streaming, so these things can happen. Okay, we are launching the the web app now. Just bear with us.
Yes, the error is still occurring. Okay.
Well, okay.
We'll fix it later, and we'll get it ready for you to try it out.
So later tonight, when you're about to go to bed, go back to your contact, your Genexus chatbot contact, and drop a line to see if it's already up and running. Again, thank you very much for being with us, and we'll see you next time. Okay? Keep safe.
Thank you. Bye-bye.